Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harris and Young. We are moving through December. It is in double digits now, December 10th. The weather outside isn't too bad, all things considered. It's going to be mild this weekend, and of course, as usual, we got a great show tonight. I have a beautiful young stand-up comedian here who's friends with some of the ones I've had on before. But before we get to her, I got to read these incredible underwriters. Got some new ones, not too many, but that's the way it works. So we'll get to that, and then we'll get right to Holly Johnston. So here we go. We got Whitman and Abington News, corporate office number right here. We got Smoke and Ashes Tobacco Stores in Pembroke, Whitman, South Weymouth, Hanson, Abington. We got Sesh Wellness and Accessories in East Bridgewater. We got C&J Auto Body Glass and Towing in Stoughton. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Comfort Upholstery in East Bridgewater. We got a new one, Planet Eats in Raynham. We got National Instant Shoe Repair in Dean's Plaza in Raynham. They're also a new one. We got Bigley's Automotive in Abington. We got Joe's Diner in Taunton. We got Brighton Tire in Brockton. We got Team Martini and Sun Floor Covering in Abington. No job is too big or too small. Topic Time fans get 10% off. We got Easton Fitness right here in Northeastern in the Village Shops. We got UBG Airsoft and Laser Tag in Bridgewater. We got D&E Auto Body Collision Center in Bridgewater. We got Speedy Oil Change in Abington. We got Doggie Boutique run by my great next door neighbor. All be professional dogs and cats grooming. Debbie Siddell in Brockton. I want to thank you guys very much. And so on that note, now I will introduce young Holly Johnston here. She is a stand-up comedian. She's from sort of like west of here, but she saw a couple of my shows. She wanted to be on herself, and here we are. So Holly, thank you for coming down here and being on Topic Time with me tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, well, I'm looking at you now, and I'm thinking, you don't look like a stand-up comic, but I've seen pictures of you, and I'm not insulting you. What I'm saying is, you look different than you looked in the little array of stand-up comics where you were involved. So what I want you to do, I'm just making a concrete observation, but we're gonna take care of that, in short order. What I do with all my guests is I try to find out what they were like growing up. See, that's the thing. You don't even look that old. You only look about 17, but I'm sure you're a little older than that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to find out what you were like growing up and how it got you to where you're at now. When we talked on the phone a little bit, I know you wanted to hurl a few little, things that you might not say on TV, as we plan the show, and that's fine. We're going to look at a little clip of your stuff halfway through. And ordinarily, I wouldn't care, but, and the FCC really doesn't have any regulations on public access TV. Nevertheless, we still want to, make a good impression. The people of Easton love Topic Time. If they start calling for more expletives, we'll get more in here. But in the meantime, I just want to find out about you specifically. So tell me about where you grew up and how it ended up leading you to where you're at now. And if I have any more questions about it, I'll fire them in. Go ahead.
I was always like a funny kid.
Okay.
I did a lot of improv games. There's a whole movie of me playing improv games at my birthday party.
And how old were you?
I think I was 10. I was 9 or 10, so
Okay.
I was pretty young.
Yep.
I was always writing. I've been writing for a really long time.
When you say writing, you mean writing like material for comedy or just stories, poetry, anything?
Well, when I was younger, I just used to write stories.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually got one of them published.
Cool. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was a
I'm
Christmas.
a writer by trade myself, so go ahead.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's a Christmas story. It was called How Santa Gets Ready, and I wrote it when I was 11. I published it when I was 13.
Where'd you publish it?
I published it through a company called Hot Chocolate Books. I'm not sure if they're around anymore.
I've heard of them because I had somebody who's written. I wrote a book of short stories in the '90s, and before that I was trying to sell plenty of short stories to different companies all over the world. And it sounds like one. It sounded familiar when you just mentioned it. But nevertheless, so did they pay you for it?
Yeah,
Wow.
I used to sell them at craft fairs. I used to sell them at school events, which was great when I was in middle school selling books with my mom in a Santa hat. That's every middle school kid's dream right there, right?
That's incredible.
Just kidding.
Well, tell me a little. I mean, it sounds to me almost the way you worded it, the way you phrased it. It sounds like the story is a little bit risque.
No, it's not at
not?
all.
Okay.
I didn't know that people saw it that way. No, I was 11, so.
Yeah, right. But nevertheless, when I was 11, I was writing dirty things.
Oh, no.
But I was in a little different environment. But it sounds to me like, okay, tell me about it.
It was just it was a Christmas story, just
Okay.
basically about like a kid who's younger and his imagination and he's basically explaining to his little sister, saying like, because older brothers are always like, oh, I know everything. So.
Oh yeah.
So they're basically telling the story of how he thinks it all plays out. And,
I gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay, so it's basically it's for all ages.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
it's definitely for a
Oh.
very young audience. I used to read it to like preschool kids and things, and
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, you really look younger than I thought. Are you not a teenager, are you?
No, I'm 23,
Okay.
so I just look very young.
That's good.
I have a ton of jokes about it because,
Really?
you have
Okay.
you have to call attention to it because, everyone's kind of wondering how old I am as soon as I get on stage. So when I make a comment about it, they usually laugh. And
Okay, well, that's interesting because I actually had I had a guest on my show not too long ago who was 18 and she's already performed over at some of the Mohican Sun. And
Yeah.
She looks about your age. But
that's Emmy. Yeah, I know.
You
I know
her.
Emmy.
You
Yeah.
know Emmy. Okay, there you go.
Oh, yeah,
and
she's
hopefully
great.
our show with her will be up tomorrow. All right, well that's cool. So when did you get your first comedy gig then?
So I got my first comedy. Well, I was in a senior talent show in high school. I was a really quiet kid.
What high school?
Hopedale High School.
Oh, great area.
I was a really quiet kid, but I would always make my friends laugh and stuff. And my dad used to do stand-up comedy. So
Okay.
for my senior talent show, I was like, I want to surprise everybody. I'm gonna write a bunch of jokes about the teachers, about the school. So I went on stage. I told one of my friends about it the night before. I didn't tell anyone else about it. They called me up. They're like, oh, Holly's about to do some stand-up comedy. Everyone's looking around. They're very confused. And I went up there, and it was great. It went really great.
For whacking on the teachers verbally.
I mean, I'd already graduated basically,
you already
so it was
graduated.
like the last day of high school. So I was like, I got nothing to lose at this point. I can say whatever.
Ooh, I like that. You're kind of a scampy one. That's pretty cool. Okay. Well, in terms of that, so what happened after that? Did you move on to other things?
So I went to college.
Where?
And Hofstra on Long Island.
Sure, I know. Was that New York?
Yep, New York.
Yep,
Long Island,
okay.
New York.
Major? What was it?
Psychology.
No kidding.
Yep.
Okay.
Psychology and a minor in neuroscience. I went completely the opposite direction, but I did some film stuff, and I wrote some scripts and things like that. I took a TV writing class. So I kind of stayed in the writing zone, but I also did a lot of sciencey
Okay.
stuff.
Well, did you actually participate in films at school? Did you write some scripts for people doing films at the school at Hofstra?
I wrote scripts, but I never produced them. I never got into the production side of film, which I actually really regret. I kind of wish I got more into production.
Well, did anyone else produce your stuff?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, what did you do? Do you still have the scripts at home or anywhere around, online or anything?
Yeah, I do. Well, one of them was a spec script, so it was like a show that's already been made, basically.
Okay.
But we had to write an original episode. So I did a Family Guy script, which
Okay.
I had a lot of fun with that one.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
And then I
Seth
did.
MacFarlane's a riot.
Oh yeah, and then I did some more original short scripts. It was I did a short story about this new drug that that's on the rage at college campuses called, and I named it GPA or something like that
Okay.
to be funny.
I like it.
Yeah, so I did a lot of writing. So in a way, I was sort of writing comedy without realizing that I was doing it.
Well, I always say everything happens for a reason, and it sounds to me like you found your calling.
Yeah, no, I really love comedy. I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. And
Yeah, okay. Now, in terms of that, tell me some of the people you've performed with. I know you performed at a gig with Bo, and I know, of course, with the virus, obviously, you've done a lot of virtual stuff. But before that, I mean, did you open for anybody that's a household name? And if not, that's fine. But I'm just curious. And John Perrotta, did you know him, right?
I do, yeah. John Perrotta actually.
Did you take his class?
I did not take his class, but I actually did a show it was in New Hampshire at Fody's Tavern.
Okay.
It was run by this woman, Alana, who was great. She put on some great shows.
Okay.
I did her show, and John Perrotta was the headliner, and that's how I met him that night. And then I ended up doing Comedy Connection because I got in touch with John Perrotta, and
Wow.
then he messaged me a couple weeks or months later and asking me if I wanted to do the Comedy Connection.
Okay. And that was in Rhode Island, right?
Yep, that's in Rhode Island.
So you've obviously done some traveling in terms of, spreading the joy of your comedy. And so that having been said, where have you performed? Can you give me some of the venues and where they're at?
Yeah, actually in November, my boyfriend and I, my boyfriend's also a comedian, we went to Las Vegas.
Wow.
We went to the World Series of Comedy, which is this big convention with a bunch of comedians from all over the U.S.
Were you competing in it?
Yeah,
Wow,
I
that's so
competed
cool.
in it.
How did you qualify to do that?
So I had to submit a video.
Okay.
And then there was a bunch of online satellites
Yep.
where usually they would be at the club. So obviously this year is different. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah, we had to submit clips to these satellites and then get people on social media
Okay.
to vote for us to advance. But that was sort of separate from the actual competition. So
Yeah.
this was like the satellites were still part of the competition, but it wasn't your ticket into the competition.
Okay.
Your like being into the competition was just based off of the tape that you submitted when you first applied. So.
Wow. Well, that's great. Okay. So how long did it take them to respond to that? I mean, what did you do? Submit the tape online?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think for the satellites, probably a couple of weeks, and then I found out I didn't even realize I was actually registered for the Las Vegas trip, so I re-registered.
Well, how did you get registered without knowing it?
It automatically
I always have to
registered
ask for a
me.
reason, but maybe you know more about it now because you found out that you were registered.
Yeah, it already registered me when I submitted to the virtual contest. I didn't realize it registered me automatically for the Las Vegas
Wow.
convention. So I
That's
was like,
so
oh,
cool.
well, I'm already in, so I
Yeah,
might as
no
well go.
kidding.
It's honestly a really smart thing because if they hadn't already registered me, I'm not sure like I would have, it made it so much easier because I'm like, well, I already paid for it. So
Yeah,
it's
no
like,
kidding. Okay, so you went out there, and this was just last month.
yeah.
Okay, and would you go to Caesar's Palace?
No, I actually stayed at the
Right.
Stratosphere. No, I
Okay.
didn't stay anywhere like.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I didn't stay anywhere like that, but I stayed at the Stratosphere and I did comedy at the LA Comedy Club
Wow.
in Las Vegas, and it was really cool. It was just really interesting. I've never done comedy that far before, so.
Far away from here.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
You
so-
stood up. You were actually right up on stage, just addressing the audience. I assume you had a pretty big one too.
Well, due to like capacity issues and everything like that, because of COVID,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
actually had to
right.
keep it pretty small. But I mean, we had an audience.
You had an
so.
audience, and if it wasn't for COVID, you'd have probably had 40,000 people there. Well, I don't know about
no,
40, but you would have probably had a few thousand anyway.
No, it was a smaller club. I would say about like
Yeah,
60
okay.
to
So
100.
so when the smoke cleared, how did it look? I mean, how does it look now that you've done it? Did you get like any kind of recognition for having done it by the committee out there?
I learned so much.
that's-
Like I highly recommend it to any comedian that's
Yeah,
looking to grow and really want to get serious about it. Because honestly, the advice and feedback that I got from that convention, I've carried and I've like taken so much of it, and it's already helped me. And that was in November, and it's only been a month, and I've already grown a lot just from listening to people give me feedback and say, you should put this joke here, you should do this here, and it's just been
that's great.
it's just changed my whole persona. Not my persona, but it's made me more professional. It's made me understand more about joke structure and about performance and everything.
Okay.
It was honestly, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. And now you say feedback, you're talking about like people, like there are people that judge comedians, correct?
Yeah.
Kind of like, and then they themselves are probably comedians too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to help the up and comers. It's a pretty good unity you guys have. I mean, I know it's competitive, but at the same time, it's like you get a lot of support from your fellow comedians as opposed to, I'm better than you or you're better than so and so and all this, or you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's not backstabbing. At least it doesn't look like it.
Not at all.
It isn't, right?
Not
And
at all.
all the comedians I've ever had on have told me that. Well, guess what? We're going to look at a little clip of Holly's work, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Yeah, these are some crazy times we're living in. I mean, I feel bad for kids right now. They're so scared of everything. They probably think Santa's not delivering their presents. He's high risk. He's definitely high risk. Instead of leaving out cookies for him, they'll just be leaving out vitamin D. Like, come on, big guy. We got this. We can fight this together. I'm just not ready to see a socially distanced nativity scene. Just like a baby Jesus surrounded by plexiglass, and like the three kings have to leave the gifts outside because contactless delivery is in now. I think they should make a new version of the Grinch, like a quarantine version, where it's just like, he took the theaters, he took the clubs, he took the restaurants, bars, and pubs. He took the theme parks, plays, and props, and all he left were Stop and Shops. And he, the Grinch, tried taking the cops.
tell me about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this clip was basically,
Don't worry about it. As long as your mic is still hooked, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I wanted to write some jokes about that were more current, because a lot of my other stuff is from like my past experiences or things that aren't really that current. So I wrote some jokes about Christmas and the quarantine, and I performed them for the first time in New York, and the audience really loved them.
Okay.
So I started performing them in virtual shows. I actually performed them in a corporate show that I just did. It was my first time doing a corporate show.
Corporate show? Where was that? Was it actually from a big top 10 company? White collar company?
Yeah. One of my friends in comedy actually
Fortune
messaged
500
me.
company, right? One of those.
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not sure if I can release their name. I mean, I don't see why not, but just in case.
If you have any doubts, then don't tell us their name. It's fine. But you did a corporate gig at a big company, at a big corporation.
Yeah, it was on Zoom, so
right, okay.
But yeah, it was really cool. And,
a lot of people saw you in the big corporate world. That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was.
Now, when you write your jokes, what's your repertoire must be pretty thick by now. I mean, you have it's nice that you like to refresh the repertoire when you move on. Obviously, you said you had previous jokes from your past experiences, but you wanted to upgrade them. And I'm assuming that's kind of like that's your MO when it comes to getting ready for a new gig, right? You writing new jokes.
Yeah, so I write every day.
Cool.
Basically, I try to. So I'll set a timer for an hour.
Okay.
I actually have like a little bowl of punchlines that
cool.
I got it from.
A bowl of punchlines?
Yeah, so I think it was Chappelle that said something about how he writes his punchlines in a fishbowl and then takes them out randomly and then uses them to write that day, uses them as a prompt.
I hope doesn't bother the fish in the bowl. Yeah, that's my little punchline. How you like that? Okay, keep going.
Well, it's a mug, but
right.
So I've been trying to do that more, because when you force yourself to write about something, in the beginning I was like, oh, well, I'm never gonna actually think of something because it's not, I have to force myself. But then I was really surprised that when I actually sat down and said, I'm writing about this today, I would be amazed at what I could actually come up with within that topic. So
it's a great feeling too.
Yeah, it's worked out really well so far. That's not the only way I write, though. Sometimes just things in conversation, I'll say something and someone will laugh and I'll jot it down, or sometimes I'll just think of something that's bothering me or something I'm excited about, just something emotional, and then I'll write off of that. So
cool.
I have different pathways, I guess, to where I write.
Well, it's obviously got a whole slew of routines for creating comedy, and that's amazing. You're very multifaceted that way.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I've been writing way longer than I've been doing stand-up, so that's a huge advantage because I already kind of know how to write.
Going back to when you were 11, you said, right?
Yeah, but even earlier than that. Wow. I was writing books at 3.
You're writing books?
Yeah, well, books,
Okay, like children's books at 3?
Like pieces of paper stapled together with words on them. Wow. So books,
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Wow, okay, so you just love writing and you do it every day.
Yep.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. Well, if you want to use me in your material, feel free. Well, let me ask you something. Do you have any particular comedians that that are very well known that you're utterly fond of, that you might call your idol? For idol, / singular / plural. Are there any comedians that you idolize? Is what I'm asking you.
Oh, definitely. I saw. This year I saw Whitney Cummings for the first time.
Pretty funny.
I actually met her, which was really cool.
Oh,
I have a photo with her. I was super excited. Taylor Tomlinson is another one, and it's especially cool because she's very close to my age. She's 26, and she's very successful. So she's a huge inspiration. I also.
What about Sarah Silverman?
Yeah, I like Sarah Silverman too.
My cousin.
Oh yeah. We spoke about that on the phone.
That's right.
I remember. I'm also I like Bill Burr. He's very controversial, but I like Bill Burr.
Well, that's but controversial is good.
I actually like Joe Rogan. I think his jokes are really creative.
Wait a minute, Joe Rogan, the podcast guy?
Yeah,
Does he do jokes too? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, that's how he started.
That's how he started. That's right. He was a comedian in Boston before he moved out to. His regular deal is in Vegas now. I mean, I'm bucking for his job. No, hey Joe, if you're watching, I'll do it on this side of the country. You can stay on the West Coast. But he gets, about a million hits for every show he does. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, in terms of entertainment, have you done anything else besides stand-up comedy? Have you done acting? Have you done music at all? Dancing, anything like that?
I actually do sketch comedy as well.
Okay,
so,
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I write sketches. So my boyfriend is a sketch comedian.
Well, tell me about your
and he has
boyfriend. Is he a stand-up comedian too?
Yeah, so I actually met him because I found his like sketch videos on YouTube and I thought they were really funny. So I
Okay.
messaged him, and we started writing together, and we started
Right.
producing our own sketch videos on his channel.
Cool.
So that's kind of how we met.
All right.
He has a channel on YouTube called LaBeouf Comedy Channel.
Okay, LaBeouf, is that his name?
LaBeouf, yeah.
Okay.
It's a hard to spell, but
It sounds Frenchy, but I understand.
Yeah, it's very French.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, it's we're writing a short. Like we've been doing a lot of parodies, so we did like a fake Uber commercial.
Okay.
And we did one where it's like a boyfriend girlfriend breaking up, but the boyfriend is also a podcaster. So while he's breaking up with her, he's also like plugging his sponsors.
Okay.
So
good for him.
yeah, I took a sketch writing
That's
class.
what I'd be doing too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
I took a sketch writing class at Improv Boston.
Okay.
So I was kind of playing around with that a
Well,
little bit.
Okay, where did you take at Improv Boston? Who taught that?
It was taught by Scott Kramer. It was taught by
Okay.
Scott Kramer, and it was a really good class.
Yep.
Our showcase show got canceled because it was right before everything shut down.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
literally took the class like from January to like the last week of March before COVID.
I know,
like,
that's
just
exactly when it hit it here.
came
Right.
over everything. Yeah.
But you did get the whole class in before it ended, right?
The only thing we didn't get in was the final showcase.
Okay.
So we didn't get to like perform our
Yeah,
sketches,
okay. But we're coming. The vaccine's out. We're coming back, and there'll be more classes. There'll be more opportunities.
yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Well, no, don't say hopefully. It's here. It's here already. They just have to figure out how to distribute it correctly, and we'll be fine, and it will happen. I know it will. I don't know about you. I feel great right now, and I'm 61. So, okay. So, and we're doing what we have to do to stay healthy. And I know I'm being a little serious now, but I'm trying to keep your mood as light as can be, because that's what you need to do, until this is over, and it will be.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think comedy has definitely helped me through this
Of course
because
it did.
it's
It helps you through every day. It's not just comedy. Isn't just a career. It's a way of life.
yeah,
I
and
laugh at every. I don't know if this. I'm gonna. You took psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have autism. All right. Now I'm doing a show like this. Is pretty cool. One of my personal I'm telling you a little about myself now, because this is kind of an interesting thing. I amuse myself every day. I have conversations with people that have passed on years ago. I relive them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people that have, I have conversations with old friends that I haven't seen in 40 years, because they made me laugh 40 years ago. And the fact that I go around by myself repeating them to myself, laughing my head off about them, is still, all these years later, when most people would hear me, I act a whole different way when I'm doing my show or when I'm in public
Yeah.
than when I'm by myself. If people in the public could see what I'm like alone, they'd want to know why I'm not locked up with the key thrown away yet. And I don't mean that. I mean, it's just, we all have to amuse ourselves to keep from going insane in a crazy world. Obviously, we know that.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
what I do.
I get what you're saying though, because I'll
Yeah.
do that. I'll like quote an old friend's joke from years
That's
ago
exactly right.
and laugh to myself, and the person I'm with is like, "What are you saying?" And
Yeah, I know.
I'll explain it to them, but I'm just like, "Oh, you got to listen to this." And of course, it's never the same. But like in my head, I'm like, this was the funniest thing ever."
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. We're down to the final 5 minutes. We made the show go by, and that's
Wow,
exactly
by
that's the
fast.
way to do it. If somebody said something I thought was funny 40 years ago, I'm still repeating it for the rest of my life. And that's exactly right. If they paraphrase something, and if I say it to them over and over again, they're like, why do you keep saying that? And I'm saying, why not? You said it first, and then I just keep saying it. Repetition is sometimes the best form of comedy. Saying something over and over again, and
Yep.
until people like shake their head and walk out of the room. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't, obviously you got to do it in the right spectrum. But this isn't it. But tell me, okay. So now that we're just about 5 minutes, we're down to the final 5 minutes. What I want you to do is to look at the camera and give shouts out to people that are going to see the show, including your boyfriend, family members,
Yep. All
and
right.
then we'll wrap the show up.
So shout out to my parents for supporting my comedy career really early on, Shout out to Nick LaBeouf, my boyfriend, who got me, more serious about comedy and more serious about sketch, and really taught me a lot about it, and still does. And and shout out to everyone who's watching the show, and thank you for watching the show and for listening.
Okay, I hope you had fun with me.
Yeah, I did. This went by really fast. That's
It
a
does.
good sign.
It always goes by fast. All right, so what I also asked my guests to do, and if Nick wants to come on as a guest, I'd love to have him on as well at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
But including him, but aside from him, I also want you to spread the word. If you had a good time with my show, I want you to spread the word about Topic Time to other friends, especially comedians.
Sure.
And see if and say you should definitely do a show. And you got my digits, so have them text me. I get, like I tell everybody, I get 98% of my guests through Facebook. The other 2% the word of mouth following the Facebook encounter that I get, where I got the other 98%. All right, just quickly going forward, what is once we clear this this crap up with the virus? What does 2021 look like for you?
I mean, hopefully, just more shows, more stage time.
Yep.
I would like to start working guest spots at clubs and everything eventually along the lines. I'm not saying right now, but I just want to keep getting better. Really, that's what I want, is just to keep getting better at performing, at writing, to do more, to do different types of shows. I really want to do a roast. That's like on my bucket list for comedy.
A road show?
A roast.
Oh, a roast. There you go.
I'm not sure I can handle it, but it sounds fun.
Well, you can handle it.
Yeah.
Feel free to roast me anytime you want. Just let me know you're doing it first.
Yeah, I'll put you in my set and see how it goes. Yeah.
All right.
And,
well, okay, there you go. That's good. So it looks like you got your future. Your future looks as bright as ever. Your past looks pretty gleaming as well. And I am delighted that you did my show tonight. You were amazing.
No, thank you.
Okay, so on that note, are you ready to wrap it up like we began it?
Sure.
Okay, folks, thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Take
Bump
care.
this track.
And here we go.
I can't actually snap.
There you go. Just don't bang the table too much.
Oh, sorry.
CD in there.